Imagine me waking up on a Wednesday morning, excited to see the new Nintendo Switch 2 Direct.
Oh my!
I wonder if Deltarune will be shown. I think to myself, probably not. I mean, if it was gonna be shown, it would have been in the previous Direct 6 days ago. Oh well. You know, I hope Nintendo has some other good games to show.
Oh my god!
But it'll probably be stuff we've already predicted before.
Deltarune! It's real! It's real, bro! Deltarune today! Deltarune today!
It is finally that time, guys! Deltarune has officially been given a release date by Toby Fox. It came out of such left field in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but chapters 3 and 4 are on their way. So today, I'm just going to break down some of the important things that I noticed within the trailer, as well as some other sources like the newsletter, website, and the Steam page. But before we go into the analysis, let me just make an announcement real quick. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for viewing the previous Deltarune video. I never would have expected that it would have become so big, and I loved every single theory and discussion point that people have brought up in the comments, as well as my other posts that I made. However, I do want to apologize for the mistakes that I've made in the video. I did get the pronouns wrong in the video for Napsabluke, and it wasn't my intention to insult or offend anyone in the slightest. And going forward, I will use the correct pronouns and make sure that it doesn't happen again. There are also some other mistakes within the actual video itself, like getting the Gaster theme file name wrong, along with an incorrect timestamp in the AOT section of the video. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to try to do better in the future, and I appreciate everyone respectfully pointing out those mistakes to me in the comments in that video. Anyway, that's sort of the announcement that I got out of the way. With all that being said, let's just jump straight into the analysis. And why don't we bring up my little Theory Sona guy, just for the occasion? You know, it is Deltarune Day, why not?
Gotta make sure that the art I made gets put to use, you know what I mean?
Okay, you already know the drill. So first and foremost, let's get the basic information about the game out of the way. We have learned that the game will be releasing on June 5th, the same exact time that the Nintendo Switch 2 console releases. This sort of makes me believe that Toby Fox had some sort of deal with Nintendo to make Deltarune a Switch 2 launch title, because as we all know, the development with Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 are basically already done. I mean, it's most likely probably already fully completed like now, if I'm being honest. And this sort of just puts into perspective Toby's recent posts and statements regarding the development of the game. Toby Fox has been stating so many times that he just wants the game to be shown and released so badly, and that he feels so bad for keeping it withheld for so long. And he probably had some sort of contract with Nintendo, so he couldn't really give a release date until the Nintendo Switch 2 had their full showcase, so that's probably why he felt so bad in all those previous posts and newsletters. But that's just some speculation on my part, and it could entirely not be true at all. And the second basic info about Deltarune that we know about is that it'll be $24.99 in North America. Once making this purchase, you'll be able to get all future chapters for free in future updates.
Now let me just push up my nerd glasses, cause let's crunch the numbers a little bit.
If we round up that $24.99 price to just $25 and we divide it by 7 chapters, it gives us a value of around $3.50 per chapter. Which for me, I feel like is an amazing price for the value we're getting. I mean, I think Deltarune already has an equal to or longer runtime than Undertale already with the first 2 chapters. So, that's pretty good. And the music on Steam will be purchasable for $14.99 and will also include free updates for future chapters as well. You already know I'm picking up both the music and the game on release day. Toby Fox, my wallet belongs to you. But anyway, let's get to the actual trailer. So, this trailer made the collective of everyone absolutely freak out. So, to start off, the trailer actually uses the unused full intro song for Deltarune that Toby had planned. He had originally planned for this song to be used in an animated intro for the game of Deltarune, but now it's fully fleshed out inside the trailer. And something that shows up later in this trailer, it seems very likely that we'll get a fully animated intro cutscene for the game. and I will be playing the unused version of that song right now, so that is what you're listening to. Alright, so first things first, the trailer makes it a point to mention that Deltarune is a parallel story to Undertale. With the trailer saying this, and Toby making Undertale $1 on Steam on their spring sale a little bit ago, it seems like Undertale will have a strong tie to Deltarune, more so than what we originally thought. And in this exact same scene in the trailer, we have Rousey with his hat back on, which is sort of interesting since he doesn't have the hat in later sections of this trailer. Does it mean that maybe he'll put the hat back on? Honestly, I hope so. You know, this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I do prefer Rousey with the hat. It just has a cooler design in my opinion. Alright, next scene. The fun gang walks on this path in Castletown where we see the Shadowmen from Chapter 3. Obviously, we already know that the Shadowmen will be recruitable in Deltarune Chapter 3, but it's just kind of weird seeing a Chapter 1 design Rousey next to a Chapter 3 Darkner. Anyway, moving on, we get a montage of all the previous chapters, events, and moments that are highlighted, but then we see the Shadowmen again! However, this time it's more fleshed out version of that little teaser that we got in the Spamton sweepstakes of their little battle. It seems if you want to act with the Shadowmen, there'll be some sort of ammo meter above and a timer below, and you'll use heart bullets that you literally shoot to knock off their socks to be able to recruit them. I just like this being a twist, you know? Instead of having to dodge the enemy bullets, you have to have the enemies dodge our bullets. The next scene is of this weird mini game where you have to block these weird circles attached to like a sort of string or something of the sort. With Toby on the newsletter that was released today mentioning a lot of cat sort of theming, and with the lives icon on the screen looking like a cat, it seems like this little mini game is sort of cat themed, and those little balls could be balls of yarn and the shields could be little cats. And with that newsletter released today as well, we know that this little mini game is a feature to promote the Switch 2 mouse functions, the two dual Joy-Con mouses. Toby did say that this game will be in the other versions, it's just it will have a different control scheme than the Switch 2 one. Following that little mini game scene, we have this scene of a Guitar Hero type mini game with the fun gang. Rousey has a huge mohawk, which is so goofy, I love it. Susie is rocking out so fast on the drums that she's only visible for like one frame. And we got Chris rocking out on a guitar. And originally I thought that this little pink bit at the top was like a little top hat or like a bow, but it seems to be part of their shoulder pad. Chris is seemingly wearing shoulder pads very similar to like the one that Metaton EX has, and it's just the perspective that has the little other bit of the shoulder pad poking out at the top. Susie's little like music Guitar Hero box is also X'd out, which means that the player can't control her at this moment, I believe. Could this be another moment of Susie defying the player? Or maybe this is a mechanic in the minigame where if you mess up too much on one character, you just can't control them anymore. It's like a lost life system. Or perhaps maybe for different sections of the song that you play, it switches who you can control. Other things in this scene, we have text saying popu and larity. Obviously, it's just supposed to mean popularity, but like, I don't know why the text is spaced out so far apart. And we have a sign in the back behind everybody that says Lightner's Live. Does this mean that Rousey is a Lightner? No, guys, I mean, come on. But it's weird that Rousey is on stage with a sign that says Lightner's Live, I will admit. So with all that information, it makes me believe that maybe this could be a minigame within the TV Dark World. Put on stage, gotta get that ratings up. I also see the possibility that this minigame could just be only in Castletown as well. Since we already know that Chapter 3 Darkners can go up on stage and play music, why not the Lightners that we got? Not to mention Susie's drum set has the Deltarune symbol on it, which makes me think it's from an item in Castletown. Or perhaps it could just be both. You get a TV Dark World minigame that later in Castletown you can play again and again as many times as you want. And maybe since it's Lightner's Live, we'll be able to add other Lightners onto the stage as well. The next segment in the trailer, we have Susie throwing Chris onto a grabbable wall, it looks like. Chris and Susie have different shades of color on them, which sort of implies a more darker, dimly lit area than before. And they also match the color schemes of Deltarune art that Canotine made. And for those who don't know who Canotine is, they are the original design creator of Lancer.
And I apologize, I probably butchered that name so badly.
But this could sort of mean that they're testing a new lighting system within the game. Maybe adjust the lighting in real time based on which area the characters are in. Another thing of note is that at the start of this scene, we also have glass shattering. Perhaps Chris and Susie fell through some sort of glass floor or window, likely after they fell through the Chapter 4 Dark Fountain. And while Chris is climbing, we see this yellow box appear on each section of this climbable wall. So perhaps this could be a gameplay mechanic where at the time you're climbing, maybe in tune to how Susie is climbing at the bottom. And the biggest thing in this scene is those stained glass windows right above Chris. Guys, what could this mean? Well, let me think about it. Let me get right back to, I don't know, it's like really hard to think about it, like Chapter 4 Church Dark Fountain confirmed! Like I said before, the Deltarune community has so many theories that at least one of them has to be right, and I guess the church theory Dark Fountain is right. I guess it's a good time as any to promote my previous video. I talk about this concept of us maybe having some stuff right on the money because there's just so many theories. So if you want more details about Deltarune, the community theories, and my personal predictions, then go check out that video. All right, anyway, so after that insane segment, we get the showcase of each final boss chapter by chapter. We already know about King and Queen, but we finally get to see Tenna in the Chapter 3 little section. And Tenna is a big TV-headed person with a smile, also in 3D, I guess, apparently. First of all, 3D in Deltarune is huge. It seems that the scope of the game is surpassing of what we've already known and expected. Second of all, this is obviously a pre-rendered cutscene. Game Maker is not known for its 3D. Third of all, with everything else shown in this segment being in-game cutscenes and battles, it seems like this scene will actually appear within the game itself. So maybe in the big battle against Tenna at the end of Chapter 3, we have an intro cutscene that plays this little 3D model of Tenna. Now for Tenna's design. Will it be this TV head person? It's looking like that might be the case from what we've seen so far. Now for me personally, I hope there is a different design for Tenna. The Deltarune community has already made so many fan designs for Tenna that has the exact same thing that this depicts, a just TV headed person. But I want everything in Deltarune to be new and fresh to me, so hopefully this is Tenna's equivalent to like the Giga Queen and not their actual real design. So in the Chapter 4 segment of this little scene, it shows Susie and Chris running away from these little eyeball or ornament or hairy sort of creatures, and they're just running on these tiles that just have the Deltarune logo on them, which I believe just adds more evidence for the church being Chapter 4's Dark World. You know, since the Deltarune symbol is a part of Hometown's religion, it could mean that it appears more heavily in that Dark World. Alright, so the fact that for the 2 Chapter 4 segments that we have, there's no sign of Rouse, it means to me that these scenes are likely the intro segment of the Dark World, similar to how Chapter 2 went before Rouse showed up. So if I had to take a guess to assume the chronological order of these scenes, I think it starts out with Susie and Chris running on the tiles, and then the tiles fall, and as they're falling, they shatter into a glass pane, and then we get the climbing segment from before. And the whole vibe of this Dark World so far, it kind of has a spooky tone to it. Maybe this is where we'll get more serious moments within the game. The story will actually start tackling more subjects on the darker end. Finally, ending off this trailer, we get an animated segment that I believe seems to be done by Temmie, which shows us the 3 heroes looking upon a figure. This figure seems to open their wings to reveal a bright light and a symbol similar to the save point from Deltarune and the eyes of the Titan in the roaring. Let's just cut straight to the chase. No nonsense. This is the angel, okay? You know, it makes sense. They got the wings. It looks like they have more than 2 wings, very similar to a biblically accurate angel. And with the connection of the save point and the Titans, it implies that this is a higher power being. And I've seen some people point out that the heart in the Deltarune logo is in the dead center of this figure, which kind of points to player angel theory. So if this is our angel, then I believe that this segment right here is most likely right before the end of the game. You know, the one that Toby dreamed up all those years ago. And this just shows to me that this will probably be at the end of a fully animated intro, hopefully. So that's basically everything that I have to say about the actual trailer itself. But wait, there is more, because Toby Fox did release some more information that ties into the newly released newsletter, as well as the updates on the Steam page for Deltarune. So first of all, on the Deltarune website, after the trailer released, we have these towers in the background. Now, maybe this is just my theory train going a little bit too strong, but to me, these look heavily similar to like church and religious architecture in our real world. On the newsletter that Toby Fox released, he made it a statement that with all the chapters combined, so chapters 1 through 4, there'll be around a total of 150 songs. So let's bring out the calculator again and do some maths. Subtracting the Deltarune 1 and 2 songs brings us up to 64, and subtracting the 3 songs that we got teased for 3 and 4 in the newsletters before, it means we'll have a rough estimate of 61 new songs for chapters 3 and 4, which is absolutely crazy. Hopefully, most of the OST isn't filled with just joke songs like Sweet Cap and Cakes and all their nonsense. But one thing I do know is that these new songs will be having guaranteed bangers within them. Toby also states in the newsletter that there will be no differences in content between console and PC versions, so no matter what you play on, you're not missing out on any content. Pluie, the goat, will be added in for free to every version, which makes me believe in the speculation that Pluie is the thing that we use to transfer data between the demo and the full game. But Pluie's here, guys. We can all rejoice. Toby also notes that in the PlayStation version of the game, the trophies that they have will be seriously hardcore. He begs us to not try it, and that it already might be too late for most of us to even do it anyway. So, yeah, people will probably still do this anyway. I'm sorry, Toby. But I believe it's going to be something like super extreme, like talking and interacting with every single character and object in the game, collecting every single item, weapon, and armor, and recruiting every single Darkner, all within a single run of the game. So for example, to those that already have a save file within the game for the first 2 chapters, it wouldn't be possible for them to earn this trophy. And if that is true, Toby, you've cooked up something super devious. Oh my god. Toby ends off the newsletter by stating the absolute pure torture it was for him having to wait to reveal the release of Deltarune. It just puts into perspective that the person in the most anguish of not getting the chapters released is not us, but in fact, Toby Fox. And it has always been that way. Okay, now let's talk about the Steam page update. We got the trailer, of course, added to the page, but we also got some completely new images revealed in the Steam page itself. So first, we have this Jockington grows a beard image. The only reason he has a beard is to resemble the cool S drawing that like everyone drew in high school at least some point in their life. And this just confirms that what Toby said in Fangamer's Deltarune livestream was actually real.
Jockington grows a beard. Spoiler.
Saying that Jockington's beard is a spoiler in the future was indeed correct. So obviously this has to take place in chapter 4, not only because Jockington is confirmed to not be in chapter 3 with all the evidence we have so far, but also the floor texture in this room is the exact same pattern as the glass being shattered in the chapter 4 segment of the trailer. And that likely means that Jockington will most likely be in this dark world. And in this image, Jockington also has this weird water texture on him, very similar to like the water or ocean texture used in the Gonnermaker sequence of the game. Will this be important? I highly doubt it, but it just shows that the Dark Worlds have a water or ocean theme tied to them in general. We also get to see this little Darkner next to the Fun Gang. They seem to be wearing robes, which look very similar to like a robes that a priest would wear. Just add it to the pile of evidence of a church Dark World. And when I first saw this little Darkner, I immediately thought of like Hollow Knight. I mean, they got like the same head shape sort of thingy going on, but I don't think it's anything to do with Hollow Knight. I just find it funny. The second image that we got for the Steam page is what seems to be a chapter 4 battle going on with these spirit-like Darkners. I've heard 2 takes of what objects these Darkners are are birthed from. One being a Christmas ornament, or two being an incense burner. The incense burner, of course, being more heavily tied into the church and its themes. And it could relate to these little darkeners because they got the little spirit symbol around them. I would know that because I'm a big fan of Yokai Watch and I know that by heart. But with these spirit elements, the spooky themes, and Jockington being most likely inside this dark world, I feel like that points us towards Caddy also being inside this dark world. Jockington and Caddy are like a duo within the game itself, and Caddy has ties to the occult and dark magic, so this sort of sets up a similar situation with Chapter 2, getting two high school classmates as Lighteners inside of this dark world. And honestly, I could possibly see Caddy joining our party for a section of this dark world, similar to Noelle. You know, I mean, Caddy has already worked with Chris before in studying the arts of the occult, so with all that evidence, it just seems kind of likely that maybe they will join our party at some point. Off-script mode enabled. Okay guys, so update. We got some more Deltarune information. It seems that a page released by Go Nintendo talking about Deltarune contains new images of the console version of Deltarune provided by Toby Fox, at least according to them. So I guess these are images that we're supposed to see. So let's just jump right into it. First of all, we got to see new screenshots of stuff that we already know about, like the little Switch 2 minigame, the Rock Band minigame, the Shadow Men, as well as the Jockington Grows a Beard image. But the interesting thing with these old screenshots is the borders that are included with them. For the Shadow Men, they got like this little western looking border around them. Is Woody Theory canon, guys? I don't know, but hey, that's a point. The Jockington Grows a Beard image has these like church chapel looking buildings right beside them. Guys, we're going to the church. It's like basically confirmed. Come on. We get this one screenshot of Sans that looks to be from either chapter 3 or 4 because we don't usually have Sans outside of a shop with Susie being around. And finally, the biggest thing of all, we got this little stealth segment image, which means that the scrapped stealth segment that Toby talked on the newsletter is actually going to be implemented into the game. Does that mean that the Western segment that was in danger of being canceled might also be coming in chapter 3 as well? I don't know, but for Woody Theory, that's another point, guys. I'm just saying. And of course, we got the borders of this image, which depicts a TV person. And obviously, guys, this is going to be our design for Tenna, and it's very similar to the Queen border that we got in chapter 2. And I know that I said that I'd be a little disappointed if Tenna was just a TV head person, but you know, I think this spices it up a little bit, all right? You got the long nose, the TV antenna eyes, which is what it looks like to me. So putting all these new design pieces together, it just creates something new and unique that I haven't personally seen too much of. TLDR, I think it'll be a cool design. Anyway, all that stuff is absolutely crazy, all right? So let's get back to the actual real video now. That's the analysis of everything that we got on April 2nd for Deltarune. It seems like the scope of the game is just getting bigger and bigger with each and every chapter. You know, with all the new songs being added, the new effects like 3D and different lighting, the long Light World segment that Toby teased in a post online before too. It all points to Deltarune being a much bigger game than what we originally had thought. Which, of course, means in turn, future chapters will most likely take a long time to come out. I know Toby and the team have had a couple of months to work on chapter 5, but I feel like it's nowhere near being complete. I will have kids graduating high school by the time that chapter 7 comes out, but honestly, that is perfectly fine with me. Toby Fox is clearly making a game of quality and is trying to ensure that we get the best game possible. And not to mention that the time in between chapters has been some of the most fun that I've had in the community in general. All the theories and discussions that people come up with have been so fun to talk about and to speculate that I can't wait to see what will come up after the release of chapter 3 and 4. And the most exciting thing for me is for all of my previous theories and speculations that I made in the previous video to be proven wrong. You know, like I said, I want everything to be new and fresh. I don't want to be able to predict what happens happens in Deltarune, but that don't mean I ain't gonna stop theorizing. It's just too much fun to not do. So in the future, I plan to make a lot more videos covering Deltarune, and maybe we'll have some other projects sprinkled in between those Deltarune videos. I also plan to maybe stream a playthrough of the first 2 chapters of Deltarune before we get the release of chapters 3 and 4. This is mostly because my save data for chapters 1 and 2 got wiped after I changed hard drives, so whoopsies. Good news, everyone! So that previous Deltarune video was so huge that it actually got me monetized, and that is absolutely amazing. I just want to thank everyone, like, from the bottom of my heart. It really does mean a lot, and I appreciate everyone watching that video. So now that the channel's monetized, it gives me more incentive to create more videos, so I can start shifting my focus onto doing that. And we got supers as well. This is the first time I've ever done this, so I don't fully know what to expect, but it's there for people who want to support. I'm still working out if I'll do memberships or not. Maybe I'll do a Patreon instead. I don't fully know, but if it's something you guys want to see and get some exclusive perks, then let me know. If people are interested, then I'll be willing to open something up. But it's a bright future ahead, and it wouldn't have been possible without each and every one of you. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about what I should maybe cover in the future about Deltarune as well. So definitely hit that subscribe, ring-a-ding-ding that bell, and like the video if you want to see more. With all that being said, happy Deltarune. It is DeltaJune time, baby. Adios, and bye-bye. When the lady ran in there. Okay, I can't do that. That's so stupid as a bit.